guys, thanks for coming to my presentation. Today we're gonna go through the woods and we're gonna see the den of the foxes that I have been observing. I hope there's more than one. I've only seen one, but I guess I'm hoping and believe that there is probably a female vixen and a couple of kits. So today we're gonna see all that, but I want to first just start out with kind of a story. For all of humanity, pretty much since Alexander the Great was really the first recording of fox hunting. So most interactions humans have with foxes are either hunting them or telling some kind of folklore or legend. And earlier in this semester we studied a people called the Miwok Indians from the Yosemite Valley. And the Miwok Indians have a story that I'd love to read to you guys about the fox and his hunting ability. So here it goes. It's called Lizard and Fox. Lizard said, "I am going to see the worms. Do not come near me, do not come near me," said Worm. "You do not smell good," Lizard said when he saw Worm. "Keep away from me, keep away from me. Do not come near me, keep away from me." Thus Lizard, when he sang about his food below, he said, "I am going below," said Lizard. "I am going to eat worms, then I will return and see where Fox is going to hunt." Thus sang Lizard from the top of his log. Fox was preparing to hunt. He said, "I wonder if Mountain Lion is ready. Are all of you hunters ready? Mountain Lion, Quail may go with us. Skunk may go with us. Coyote may go with us. Wolf may go with us. We are going to hunt deer, but put Skunk on the lower side of the hill. Dove will go with us. Hummingbird will go with us. And we may all run on the hill. Crow may even go with us." "I shall kill large deer," said Mountain Lion when Fox told him that he might hunt. Mountain Lion continued, "We must confine Nighthawk," or like a vulture. "We must confine Nighthawk, for he is likely to steal from us if we leave the camp. He will take a whole deer in his mouth, so we must confine him and not take him with us." So Mountain Lion prepared to hunt for the large deer. He said, "I am going to the hills above the rest to find a large deer." Mountain Quail said, "I will break the neck of a large deer. I will break his neck. I will enter the brush, and I fear nothing. Not anyone can enter the brush, but I will, because I am not afraid, and I will break the neck of a deer." Bald Eagle said, "I am going too. I will kill a large deer. I can fly high, and I can see all deer like no one else can see." So Bald Eagle said, "I am preparing to hunt." And he said, "I will go and I will hunt on the side of the creek, and I will blow my wings at the middle of the field, and I will kill a large deer." Wolf said, "I will chase him. I will run him down. When he escapes all others and the deer run, I will chase him and I will kill him. I will collect the deer in one place." Coyote says, "I shall be where the deer run. I will eat them while they run. I will nip at their feet and chase them, and I will eat them." So the party set out. Fox prepared the men to hunt. He said, "We are going. Get ready. Get ready, Mountain Quail, Mountain Lion. Get ready, Eagle. Get ready, Coyote. Get ready, Wolf. Get ready, Skunk. Prepare for our hunt." So Fox readied his hunters, and he told them all to depart. All the deer passed by Fox. All the deer passed by him. He paid no attention to them, but just watched them. The deer scattered. Each of the other hunters obtained one. Most of the deer passed by Fox. He just watched them until the last came. As the last one approached, he put his arrow in his bow and shot it. The arrow passed through the deer and penetrated all the deer that were in line. In 4 gulches, there were 4 different deer that Fox killed. That many deer he obtained with 1 arrow. Thus, Fox showed he was the better hunter from all the others. And it's just kind of a story from the Miwok Indians talking about the ability of the fox to hunt. And really, foxes are incredible hunters. I mean, they're really almost like scavengers though, but foxes, of all mammals across the entire world, have spread out and have lived in more areas than any other mammal besides the human being. So, besides human beings, foxes are scattered and live across all the world more than any other mammal. It's kind of cool. They kind of adapt. Anywhere they go, they adapt to. They can adapt to urban places, so cities, and they just eat garbage. You know, they eat mice. They just eat kind of whatever around them. Vegetation. They even eat like berries, blueberries, strawberries, blackberries. I mean, they will adapt to wherever they're at. They even live in like Afghanistan. You got foxes who live in the Middle East, who live in North America, all across Europe, all across Northern Asia, even in like Siberia where it's totally just frozen and ice. You got foxes living there, and we got foxes in North America. And this is the red fox, which is Vulpes Vulpes, is the scientific name, Vulpes Vulpes. And there's like 45 different subspecies of this fox, but dude, they are scavengers. They live everywhere because these guys are survivors. I mean, they survive wherever they're at. They get accustomed to wherever people live, and they adapt to wherever they're at. Due to the fox's prevalence across all the world, it is actually, as far as its conservation status, it is of least concern of all the animals. The International Union, the Conservation of Nature, kind of grades animals on their concern for whether they're going to be extinct or not. You got really rare things, kind of like bald eagles or condors, are extreme concern, whereas foxes are absolutely on their status of least concern because they're so prevalent. And actually, foxes have been introduced even to the continent of Australia, and they're actually pretty damaging to local mammals, local food, and local birds and natural stuff in Australia. So they're actually even on the top 100, top 100 invasive species, because they are able to prevail anywhere they go. So we're gonna go through the woods real quick, and I'm gonna show you guys where our little fox lives. I'm calling him, so there's the movie The Fox and the Hound. So this is our little fox, and my dog's the Hound, and they're best buds. This is actually the exact route that I found this fox. The day that it snowed, I followed his tracks, and so I'm taking you guys on the exact route that he has. And foxes actually stay on pretty similar routes. They don't vary very much on their routine. They stay on that pretty similar route. So let's go. So right here, this limb is where the fox crossed this creek. Foxes are incredibly agile and can actually even climb. Foxes can climb about 15 meters. And oftentimes during the day, they'll actually hang out in trees. They don't oftentimes hang out in their den. Most of the time they're just hanging out in their trees. Their den's really just used when they give birth to kits, which is the name of their pups or their babies. And so most of the time they're just hanging out during the day. They're extremely agile, can climb over things, can even jump from tree to tree. It's pretty cool. So foxes are incredibly agile. Alright guys, so right here is where I've laid a whole bunch of food, and I got a game cam over there, and so we're going to see pretty soon what we may have caught on video. But like I said, foxes are omnivores. They eat all kinds of stuff. They're like scavengers. I put chicken out here, I put tomatoes, strawberries, all kinds of things. And actually the fox is typically, what in the past that I've seen, is the one that eats all that. And really a lot of fruit though, a lot of fruit. That takes up a lot of their consumption, food consumption. But they also eat a lot of small rodents, like mice, voles, things that would kind of be in this area. And actually foxes, the way they hunt is really by a lot in their ears. They're incredibly acute hearing. They have incredibly acute hearing, and so they can actually hear a mouse 100 meters away. They can hear a mouse. I mean, it's unbelievable. So they can hear it screaming, and so what it'll do is it'll get somewhat close to a mouse, and probably about from me to the camera 5 or 6 feet, it'll jump straight up in the air. Have you guys ever seen this? And it kind of do a little twirl thing and pounce on it, and that's how it catches its food, at least the live food. The other stuff it kind of just gathers around, and he kind of like thinks, and he's like, and he grabs it and he runs. And it's just kind of funny to see him feeding. But that's kind of the regular diet. It consists of all kinds of stuff. I mean, in cities, it'll go through dog food, garbage, whatever it can get its hands on, or its paws on. And it just eats all kinds of things, but primarily small rodents, fruits, kinds of things. All right, guys, this hole, you guys see this hole? This is actually a fox den. And this is where our little guy lives. He lives in this den. But like I said, most of the time they don't spend a lot of their time in the dens. A lot of what they have, dens typically have a main entrance, and this would be the main entrance. But then there's also an exit, or kind of like an emergency exit over there. And they'll have one main hole that kind of, this kind of just seeps down into the ground and goes deep into the ground that way. And then that hole up there is basically just a straight drop down, and it's an emergency exit basically. But this is where the vixen will give birth to her kits, and typically they'll be down there for a couple weeks once they're born. The kits will stay down there for a couple weeks, and they'll feed them. I mean, they're blind when they're born. They can't see anything. They can't really move. And so really what all this is, this area right here, I mean, it's like a pile up of dirt. What the male fox does is he cleans this out. He digs more and more out when the pups or the kits are being born, and he'll put food here, or the female vixen will put food here, and then the fox will kind of make their way out, and this is kind of where they come and grab some food, or they'll go inside the den, and they kind of stay there. So technically, this time period, they may be out and about, but it's possible that the kits are actually inside the den at this very moment. In all my videos, I've only seen the male running around grabbing food, but I have in the past. Last summer I saw a whole family. There was a male and female, and there were 2 kits, and so we would see them out, and the foxes stay in a family unit. You got the male and the female, which are pretty monogamous relationships, meaning we are typically, hopefully, monogamous. We have one wife, and that's typically how foxes operate. There have been instances where, one fox will have a lot of females, but most of the time it's one male and one female, and they grow their family. And then in the fall, once their kits are grown and kind of able to fend for themselves, the kits go out by themselves in the fall. That's typically the time period. Sometimes they stick around and they hang out with family to help raise more kits, but for the majority of the relationships, they grow up and they're peace out. And so that's kind of how a family relationship works with foxes, and they hang out in their den when they're very, very young. This is where they feed them. All right, so while we're down here near the den, I want to talk to you guys a little bit also about the fox's reproduction. Sex! Yes, sex. So typically around December time, maybe a little bit earlier, females start to get prepared for sex. When the time comes, which is around January, February time, for reproduction to happen, it's kind of similar to dogs, and I'll show you this funny video. It's kind of odd, but there have been instances where foxes get stuck, and you can actually see this picture of these 2 foxes reproducing right here, back to back. So that's not typical human reproduction. What happens is the male will mount the female and then turn around, and they actually sometimes get stuck, and that's kind of, so then they're back to back, and that's kind of how reproduction happens. It's kind of weird, but then it's kind of released, and then when the deed's done, I mean, they have about 2 weeks where they have sex a couple times, many times, 2 weeks, and then the gestation period, or the time between basically while she's pregnant, the gestation period is about 49 to 58 days, so close to 2 months. So really, right now, like I said, when I've been doing all this research, she could have been in her den giving birth to kits, and so that'd be really cool. I haven't seen any, but we're about to look at the recording and see if maybe we see some. Who knows? So this is right here is the fox's poop. This is a picture of it when I caught it on camera, and I was like, oh man, he pooped right over there. So I went sure and made sure I got a picture of it. Foxes actually poop very similar to dogs. So they squat, you know, and push it out. Pee, same sort of way. A guy will lift his leg, females squat, same thing. They also do what dogs do with marking their territory, and even marking empty caches where they would have stored food. So when they're storing food and it's kind of empty, they will mark that so they don't waste their time like trying to figure out, is there food here? So they actually have a lot of different ways that they communicate through their scent. Fox, you guys can see him. He's kind of scavenging around here. But the way I know he's a red fox is typically, oftentimes, there's two different foxes around here. There's a gray fox and there's a red fox. Gray foxes kind of have a speckled back and they're gray. The red fox is pretty consistent throughout. It's not speckled. And oftentimes red foxes have a white tipped tail. This fox has a white tipped tail and black. Basically their nose and their legs are black and they have a black stripe down the middle of their back. And this fox basically has all that. Foxes are also fairly small. They're about 36 to 42 inches in length, with their tail taking up about half of that length, or a little less than half of that length, 14 inches. So that's basically their length, and then they stand about 15 inches high. So you thinking my dog, but a little bit shorter, actually a little bit smaller than my dog, but they actually weigh a whole lot less. Even though they're similar length and size and height as my dog, the fox is going to weigh about half the amount that my dog would weigh. My dog's about 40 pounds. Foxes typically are 15 pounds, 20 pounds. Foxes have been hunted by humans for their fur, and because they're not anywhere near extinction, because they're so prevalent, it's still a typical thing that happens. Foxes are hunted for their fur and their pelts. So a pelt would be basically the whole outline of the fox, the whole outline of the fox. And so they're used so often in scarves, even in coats, but the main thing their furs would be used for are like for scarves. They're in coats sometimes and in boots, but their fur is used all over the world, and it's not as highly unacceptable because they're so prevalent.